Hi everybody, foXnoMad here, and today I want to help you travel smarter by giving you my first impressions and thoughts about the DJI Mavic Air 2, which DJI just announced earlier this week. Now, what's interesting about the Mavic Air 2, aside from its internals and the drone itself, is where it sits in the DJI lineup, making it probably the best consumer drone that you can buy right now. Now, if you want to compare the DJI Mavic Air 2, you really don't want to compare it to the Air 1, which was kind of a disappointment when it came out 2 years ago. And this Mavic Air 2 is so different, so enhanced, and so physically redesigned, it doesn't make sense to compare it to the Mavic Air 1 because so much has changed. It really makes more sense to compare the Mavic Air 2 to their Pro line, so the Mavic Pro 2 and that series, because it's sort of encroaching on that space, except it's smaller, less expensive. So here's what's so great about it. So the Mavic Air 2 has this very familiar DJI design on the Mavic Pro, and that you see on the Mavic Mini. It's basically, you've got these two folding arms from the top, the two folding arms from the bottom, and you get this very familiar look, making it a little bit bigger than the DJI Mavic Air 1 and making it smaller than the Mavic Pro. So it kind of sits in between those two drones in terms of size. It's a little bit bigger and heavier than the Mavic Air 1. It's a little bit lighter than the Mavic Pro. So you kind of get where I'm going with the physical specs, right? Basically sits right in between those two drones. But one thing that really makes it stand out is the battery life. It's got 33 minutes of battery life, which is absolutely incredible for a drone. It's plenty of flying time. So if you've got 33 or 34 minutes on the spec sheet, that means you're going to get roughly 28 minutes of flying time under ideal conditions. That is impressive, especially for a drone that's this small, and where DJI has really increased the size and the weight of the Mavic Air 2 is in its battery. You can see when you look at the battery pack that it's got this much thicker design than the Mavic Air 1, for example, and they've put a lot of effort into extending the battery life of this drone. And another area where they've increased the size of things is the remote control. It is a lot bigger than previous remotes, and it doesn't have an LCD display, but it does allow you to charge your phone up. So that's a nice trade-off. Although that remote is pretty big, and without the LCD screen, it's lacking just a little bit of the ease of using some of the other Pro remotes. That said, they're probably going to release a firmware update so that you can use their smart controller, but the smart controller is $650 or so. So it's pretty expensive. I don't think most people are going to get the smart controller, at least just for a single drone. In that remote, though, you're going to get some benefits, like you've got a 10 kilometer, 6.2 mile range, which is absolutely phenomenal for such a small drone. And additionally, DJI has packed this Mavic Air 2 with a couple of additional features like the Air Sense, which, sorry Europe, you're not going to get that because of coronavirus for a while, but if you're in the United States, you will have this feature, which notifies you if there are any manned aircraft in the area, so it's adding this additional safety feature. You can always use DroneMate if you want to know the local laws for flying a drone where you are, but in terms of knowing where other aircraft are, the Air Sense is a really nice feature to have. And there are plenty of other features and additions, which I'll go over in the full review when I get my hands on the Mavic Air 2, but the main takeaways for this should be its price is smaller, the size of the drone is smaller, and it can do pretty much everything the Mavic Pro can do. So when you take a look at these smaller drones, usually one of the main issues is with the hardware being resistant in wind, so being resistant to the elements. Mavic Air 2, when you look at the spec sheet, can handle what the Mavic Pro 2 can handle pretty much. They can pretty much go about the same speed. The Mavic Air 2 is pretty much as fast as the Mavic Pro 2. It can handle windy conditions just about as well as the Mavic Pro 2. It's got a great range, which you normally don't find on smaller drones. Oh yeah, and the obstacle avoidance in this thing is absolutely amazing. And it comes in about $500 cheaper, which is absolutely incredible. The propellers that come with it are the low noise propellers, which I like because they cut out the sound that your drone makes. And all these things might be making you wonder, if you're looking at the Mavic Pro 2 and now you've got the Mavic Air 2, why you would even consider the Pro 2. Well, the main reason is going to be that sensor. The sensor is a lot bigger on the Mavic Pro 2. So the Mavic Pro 2 has a 1-inch sensor, whereas the Mavic Air 2 has a 1/2-inch sensor. Additionally, DJI has removed some of the advanced settings from the Air 2's controls. If you really like to get into the nitty-gritty of the photo and video settings on your drone, the DJI Mavic Air 2 doesn't have those right now, but it could maybe with a firmware update. But my guess is they're trying to differentiate the Air 2 from the Pro line. But for most people, that's not really going to be that important. But for people who want a really small drone, who are really focused on video and photo quality and want to be able to get into the settings to be able to maximize what their drone can do, the Mavic Pro 2 series is probably the better drone, but given that the Air 2 can shoot in RAW, that it's got this great sensor on it, and that the videos that have come out of it look absolutely fantastic, it's a really difficult choice for a lot of people, especially if you travel very frequently. The Air 2 is so much more portable than the Pro series that it really does make it a hard decision. About 6 months ago, I made a video called The State of DJI Drones, where I stratified them from the Mavic Mini, the Spark, going all the way up through the Phantom series and all of those drones to show you kind of where the breakdown is between all of DJI's drone lineup. But now this Mavic Air 2 really does kind of muddy the line between the Air series and the Mavic Pro series. And I think that's going to be a really difficult call for a lot of people. I suspect DJI is going to probably try to pump up the next version of the Mavic Pro with a lot more features, maybe increase the settings. I'd give it a much better sensor. I don't know, because right now if you're looking at these two drones, for most people the Mavic Air 2 is probably going to be the top choice for you. And I'm really excited to see good drones getting a lot smaller and getting a lot less expensive as well. It's kind of nice to have both come together. So there you have it. Those are some of my first thoughts about the Mavic Air 2. I'm going to talk a lot more about it with a guest on my foXnoMad podcast coming up on Friday. So if you don't want to miss that, I'll leave a link to that in the description below. But I'd really like to hear what you think about DJI's Mavic Air 2. Let me know, is this a drone that you would consider getting? Are you going from a smaller drone and moving up to the Air 2 perhaps? Or do you have a Mavic Pro 2 and you're thinking about maybe getting the Air 2 for portability? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. And while you're down there, hit the like and subscribe buttons. I'll have new videos for you every week. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next video. So it's sort of in between. I'm making it smaller than the 2's full inch sensor for the Mavic Pro, but the Mavic Air 2 settings in the